Hi guys, so excited to talk to you guys today because obviously, as you can tell, I'm in a different location. It's an undisclosed location. Maybe we'll talk about it at a different time, different date. But I'm still recording, so I'm gonna make this video very sweet and short, but helpful nonetheless. Also, please don't mind the secular music in the background. Okay, so today we're talking about self-righteousness, which is kind of just like being kind of aloof or cocky or just thinking that you're better than anyone based on like how you follow the Bible or how you live your life. I think sometimes we get in this fit of like, ooh, this poor world, they all need Jesus. Sheesh, it's horrible down here. And it's like, before Jesus, we were just like that, most likely, maybe even worse. And I think it's so important to remember that and to stay humble on that thought, because it's like, for one, how are you going to reach someone who you think you're better than? And maybe you won't admit that you think you're better than them, but allowing it to like be something that like rules in you unchecked is not healthy. And I talk about like ways and rules and ways that we can live our lives better as Christians, but it's like, am I following those? I recently learned this thing about how, you know how in the Bible it says that Jesus was tempted in every way yet did not sin, and we think of like different things that we're tempted with, and one of that is just modesty, remaining modest. And Jesus, as the person explained it to me, like he had the opportunity to come down to earth and be like, I'm God, but in human form, like I can do like this, that, and that. But modestly, he like came as a humble servant, and you know all the verses. Him taking the form of a human is humbling in itself. So it's like, it's the one who had the most like opportunity, or at least it would have in a sense been okay for him to come and judge everyone and put everyone in their place, because he himself was perfect. But if the one who had that type of power, that type of authority, only used it when necessary and never used it to intentionally hurt but to lift up, then who are we to ever think that we can use the power and the authority that God has given us as Christians to look down upon others? Like, I think that's so important. I just really think it's important that we don't forget that we were saved by grace, and that it's not by our own doing, and God's the one that saved us and gave us everything and all that we know. I even think of this other verse in the Bible where Paul's like, I became like them just so I could like spread the gospel to them. Not in the sense of endorsing or placing himself within sin, but humbling yourself and truly like putting yourself in a spot where you can allow God to like work through you in that way, and not being so pompous not to. And then lastly, I think of another verse in the Bible that talks about the fact that the Lord hates pride, like God hates pride. And so for us to be prideful, like God hates it, like God, who is love, hates something, and that's pride. So for us to ever think that as followers of God we can operate and live our lives in something that God despises doesn't make sense. So I would just highly encourage you, and myself, me as well, to just not allow pride to rule your lives, to remember to be humble, to even ask God, like, humble yourself before him. And there's so many verses about being humble before God and how he'll exalt you and all those stuff, but like being humble, I feel like is the best position to be, because then you don't get also in the spot where you start expecting stuff from God. You're supposed to expect God to be good, but like sometimes you just are working so hard, being so righteous, all that stuff, and you just expect it to work out. And it's like no, your righteousness is not by yourself, it's by Christ. And like, sorry, I'm not sweaty, I just got out of the shower. All my skincare is like super fresh. Hold to that. Like, your righteousness is not by your own strength or power, and you have no place to put down or judge or even like hold people to standards that you can't even keep. Like, state what the word says, try and live your life by the word, but don't act like you have everything together, and don't place an unreal standard on those who are looking up to you in the faith as well. It's a short message, but it's effective. It's kind of how the videos are going to be out here, because of course I want to make the most out of the opportunity I have out here. Thank you for listening.